Hello everyone, in this lecture we'll be doing political ideology. So there are these five or six topics under it, that is liberalism, socialism, Marxism, fascism, feminism, Gandhianism. Political ideology by Andrew Hayward. Andrew Hayward, one of the leading political philosopher, he has given this he has separated political ideology in various subsections, that is idealism, liberalism, socialism, Marxism, fascism, Gandhianism, and feminism. So he has categorized into the seven subsections, starting from liberalism, uh, idealism, socialism, Marxism, feminism, Gandhism, and fascism. Now, coming directly to the meanings of ideology, does it say? It is a set of ideas needed to mobilize people in democracies. So this is the very simple definition of ideology. That's it is a set of ideas needed to mobilize people in democracies. It can be regarded as set of ideas or worldview, holistic system of thoughts. It can also be called grand theory. Ideologies are means which help politicians to mobilize masses. Those who give an ideology project it as scientific thinking. Ideas and ideologies are therefore simply window dressing used to conceal the deeper realities of political life. So, what does the ideology say? Ideology, made up of two words, ideas and logy, means a study of ideas. In simple sense, it is a set of ideas which is needed to mobilize people, and those people who give the ideology, they generally project it as scientific and based on the rational, logical arguments. But actually, what does ideology does is that it is a way to um, generate power or in self-interest or something. uh, Andy Herbert, he has said it as window dressing. Ideas have a material basis, they have no meaning or significance on their own. Now, coming revising quick revision on ideology. Look, it has been originated in ancient Greek. um, from the Platonic, we go to divine rights of the king, medieval Europe. From there, natural rights of the man, that is modern time, and now after in this current scenario, it is going toward individualism, liberalism. So these are all ideology in different span of time. Liberalism, center, and utilitarianism. So from that, socialism, left and forward. Modern liberalism, 40s to 1940s to 70s, welfare state. New liberalism, 1970s to 1990s, rolling back of welfare state. And global, 1990s, and social liberalism, liberal egalitarianism. So these are time span during which these ideologies generally evolved. Now look, what general trend is like. First originated liberalism, then it went toward conservatism, right or far right, and then it grew into fascism, and then triumph, never-ended alternatives. These all negated by postmodernism and feminism. Different political parties, that is, politicians, ideologies are not for the leaders but for the masses. Leaders are the one who generate the ideology, and it is not for them. It is basically to influence the masses. Mobilization of masses. Communist countries first bread and water issues and then democracies. Hannah Arendt don't postpone democracy, look at the wider angle. Still, Indian society is cast with society culture to change, killing people in contest etc. won't solve the problem in society. Rape in an institution of patriarchy. US, Sweden, South Africa, and some other countries which are more liberal has also patriarchy. Refer J.S. Mill on patriarchy. Patriarchal is so normal, so universal that it appears natural. Another point: eliminate patriarchy in society. Patriarchy, gender inequality, rationalism versus religion, religion versus faith. Is India traditional? Rationalist ideas and God are same. Rationalism. These philosophers try to understand the world based on the world logic. So these are the part and um, part of political ideology which we are going to study now. We have seen general overview from the ancient to medieval to modern, and how the trend of idealism has been growing. So now coming to the core topic, idealism. It is not the overview, now it is the general or main part. Idealism. For understanding others' ideology, it is important not for exam. Sorry, it is these things are for students. Now from here, idealism is an older ideology started in ancient Greece. Ancient scholars, Socrates, Plato, Aristotle. For them, idea is real and matter is illusion. Since idea can be understood only by reason, idealism is rationalism. Rationalism denotes the understanding based on the reason or logic rather than religion or faith. So, as we have read last classes, last lectures that about Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle, the general theory or general philosophy revolving around their them is the ideas per ideas like Socrates said that ideas are real. Plato also believe in that, and Aristotle, I'm sorry, Plato said that ideas are real, matter is fake. Aristotle believed that matter is real, ideas are fake, and from there starts the journey of ideology. So in this paragraph, we can see the differences between the rationalism and idealism. Idealism revolves that matter is illusion, ideas are real, whereas rationalism believe that um, using rationality we can look what is real or non-real or non-existence. Idealist views on human nature. For them, idealists view man as a social animal or by social nature. It means man cannot live without society. It means man is moral by nature. Moral by nature means man feels responsible toward the society. They do not give importance or priority to the individual. They give priority to the society and state. For idealist, whole is prior to part. Man is social by nature. Man is moral, that is, man is moral by nature also. Society cannot sustain without morality. Social, whatever is social, that is moral. Social, moral, ethical, all are same for an idealist. Every man is not moral in society. Somebody, something is moral in your society may not be moral in other society. So it depends uh, on place to place and society to society and person to person. Moral by nature means man feels responsible toward the society. Idealist views on society. For them, society has priority over an individual. Idealist views on a state. For them, a state is the source of your virtue. It means necessity of good life. A state is then natural because man is by nature a political animal. Idealist views on concept of right. Idealists only believe in duty and not the right. You can relate it with the India's freedom struggle and ideologies of Nehru and Gandhi, who always believed that um, duty shall be given more priority over that right. Idealists later on developed in two directions. First one is Hegelian tradition and second one is Kantian tradition. Hegelian tradition, in, in this direction, a scholar started giving primacy to the state. Remember, Hegel said that a state is march to God. So Hegel always give preference to the state. So whoever follow Hegelian tradition is in direction or giving primacy to the state. This become basis for the justification of fascism. In fascism, there is no conception of right, only duties. For example, Mussolini always used to say, nothing above the state, nothing beyond the state, nothing against the state. These lines of Mussolini was very much popular during the Second World War, before Second World War, when he was ruling in the Italy. Nothing above the state, nothing beyond the state, nothing against the state. Now, second tradition is Kantian tradition proposed by Immanuel Kant. Here the focus is on importance of society. It means primacy to the society. It is not primacy to the state, but it is primacy to the society. It means important on morality. Kant has given the concept of human dignity. So this human dignity concept of Kant is very famous. It can be used anywhere in essay or in SIR. This became the basis of emergence of modern liberalism, theory of welfare state. For example, it was J.S. Mill who tried to modify utilitarianism by bringing the concept of human dignity. Idealism also influenced socialism. Like idealism, socialism gives importance to society, duties and responsibility and is against excessive individualism. So you can see that the coherence of socialism and idealism both overlap to a certain degree in certain aspects like importance to society, duty, responsibility, and all that thing. Again, theory of divine right. It became prevalent in medieval times. Medieval ages is also known as the Dark Ages, the ages of religion. The theory of divine rights of the king led to the justification of the absolute authority of the state. King is son of God. Like God, kings should have absolute power. According to James I of Britain, people should worship even the bad king. Why? In the way God want to punish people for their sins. So look at the hypocrisy of medieval era when there was the rule of kings and queens, a monarchy. What they used to propagate that even the king is bad, then also support or worship him because king is the form of God and God in the form of God or God in the form of king is punishing people for their sins. So this was the propaganda and usually people followed it. Now, first ideology of Andrew Heward is liberalism. Liberalism is a philosophy of modern time. It is product of Renaissance, Enlightenment, Reformation, scientific revolution, and capitalism. Liberalism is not just a political philosophy in the Western world, it is the way of life in Western countries. It is the identity of Western civilization. So, the origin of liberalism starts from the Renaissance. Renaissance is about 14th century, 13th, 14th century. The Renaissance, we know, it started in Europe. From there, at that time, slowly and gradually, this ideology took shape. That is called liberalism. If you quote these words: Renaissance, Enlightenment, Reformation, scientific revolution, and capitalism, your answer gonna look very good. According to Andrew Hacker, though it is common term in political vocabulary, it is not easy to define precisely. Why it is not able to means why it is not um, simple to define, because there are so many subsections, sub branches of liberalism, and people usually define it as per their convenience, as per their reason and their understanding. For example, Western liberalism could be very different from that of Indian version, or that of Chinese version, or that of even Middle Eastern. So that is why it looks simple, but it is very difficult to define it precisely. According to Richard Wilhelm, liberalism is belief in the value of liberty of individuals. So Richard Wilhelm said that liberalism is the belief in the value of liberty of individuals. Hitler called liberty as quintessence of liberalism. It is better to just remember one name, or one author, or sorry, one philosopher, or so for example, we can, if you want to just remember the name of Hacker or Peter Satriani together, if you remember all, then it's gonna very difficult. Whether just read only one. For example, I have underlined Richard Wilhelm. He said liberalism is belief in the value of liberty of individual. Since the answers in UPSC exams means are word limited, so it is preferable just remember one author or philosopher, or what we call intellectuals. We can just quote them. Peter called liberty as quintessence of liberalism. According to Sartori, liberalism is the theory and practice of individual liberty, judicial defense, and constitutional state. So, Sartori believe it is the theory and practice of individual liberty, judicial defense, and constitutional state. Conner argues that liberalism begins and ends with the idea of individual freedom, individual human rights, and individual happiness. So if you want, you can just write it somewhere and revise it regularly. It will be easy and you will remember it. Conner argues that liberalism begins and ends with the idea of individual freedom, individual human rights, and individual happiness. Now, cases in India. India is an island of liberalism outside the Western world. So, what could be the question asked? Do you think liberalism has won the historic battle of ideology? What challenges liberalism face today? This question is very genuine and very On the basis of this question, there could be several questions derived and that could be asked anywhere. Discuss the future of liberal world order. Give reason for the disintegration of liberal world order. These are the questions. If you can practice, it is better. If you don't practice, that is also better. History of liberalism. Longest surviving ideology since 17th centuries. While liberalism is the longest surviving because of its accommodative, because of its liberal nature. Liberalism has changed itself in response to the challenges. However, at present, the challenges to liberalism is coming from within. Now, subsections under liberalism itself. First one, classical liberalism. Second one, modern liberalism or welfare state. Third, neoliberalism. Fourth, social liberalism, and so many. So many. Core values of liberalism. Liberalism stands for liberty, that is freedom. According to Isaiah Berlin, toleration is substantive heart of liberalism. So Isaiah Berlin believed that liberalism is synonymous with toleration. This is the photo of Isaiah Berlin. If you wanna read these boxes, you can. It is liberty to make money. It comes as an ideology to justify capitalism. Now, first subheading under liberalism, that is classical liberalism. Scholars associated with the classical liberalism, classical means ancient, so whatever you remember, ancient philosophers, ancient theological, so we all have read. You can just simply write their words, what views they possessed. For example, Thomas Hobbes, John Locke, Adam Smith, Bentham, J. Mill, Herbert Spencer. These are all said to be classical liberal philosophers. Characteristic of liberalism, classical liberalism, by John Hallowell. Classical liberalism is a belief in the absolute value of human personality. It is a belief in the spiritual equality of individuals. It is a belief in the autonomy of individual will and belief in the certain inalienable right of the individual. Under classical liberalism, the state is considered to be a necessary evil. The relation between the state and the individual is called contractual. The social control can best be secured by the law rather than command. Individual freedom in all spheres of life. The government that governs the least is the best. A belief that truth is accessible to man's natural region. So these are basic tenets of classical liberalism. We all know some words from Thomas Hobbes, who has given emphasis on individuality. You can include that. John Locke also believed in the minimum state, that is police state. He was against the police state. Sorry, he was in the favor of police state, not against. Bentham or Night Watchman State by John Locke. Adam Smith, he believed in the market autonomy. Bentham, he has propounded a theory of utilitarianism. J.S. Mill, he was somewhat moderate, and he was also he has reformed liberalism, utilitarianism by injecting some mixing it with idealism. So these are all. Herbert Spencer, we know he has provided the theory of with Darwin, he has given the theory that survival of fittest. So these things are basically said to be the assets of classical liberalism. Now, basic concepts of liberalism. Liberal concept of man. Liberal believe that man is rational. Since man is rational, man can understand what is good or bad to him. Thus, liberalism recognizes the autonomy of self and rejected authority. Liberalism emerged to protect individuals from the clutches of authority, be it church or the state. If in medieval times there was a theory of divine right of the king, liberal revolution established the natural right of man. Since man is regarded as rational, man can be given rights, liberties. So, you can see this. It has been written that it emerged as a counter ideology to that quote divine right of king. It has given some contradictory or a statement on that, like it said that if a king have the divine right, then every man have natural right. Why? Because he is rational, therefore he can be given rights and he shall enjoy the liberty. Liberal concept of society. Since liberals give primacy to individuals, society has subordinate status. According to them, society is a marketplace, the place where man enters to fulfill his interest. The society is mean and individual is the end. See here how the liberals project supremacy of individual rights over the social rights. For example, at this place, this paragraph, liberals establish that the individual have better or individual rights are prior to that of society. Society is mean and individual is the end. Let's highlight that statement: society is end and that is mean and individual is end. Liberal concept of state. Liberals believe in limited estates. This gives to the concept of Knight Westman estate. For liberals, a state is necessary evil. Liberal concept of equality. Concept of equality before the law. Concept of equality before the law, which liberals view on equality. They are the first one to give the ideas of equality. Liberals talk about equality before the law, propose to establish rule of law. It establishes the rule of law, it means abolish privileges. Concept of equality of opportunity. Capitalists claim equality of opportunity to earn property. Vice versa, the feudal lords. Principle of liberalism but not socialism. Look, there are two concepts of equality under this liberal, generally two concepts. First one is equality before the law, which was accepted by everyone, that every man is equal in the eye of law. But equality of opportunity was actually in the favor of capitalist class and not in the favor of workers, because it believed that everyone is free to earn as much as they can under their capacity. So it is natural that the weaker section of society lack their strength, lack their uh, assets to gain such kind of accumulated amass that much wealth as a capitalist or some someone coming from the affluent family can do it. Liberal concept of liberty. They define liberty as the absence of external interference. Later on, the concept came to be called as negative liberty. So, liberty, generally means freedom, but here the concept of liberty has been defined as it is absence of external interference. Absence of external interference means modified form. Later on, the concept came to be called negative liberty. Okay. Liberals' view on political economy. Political economy. Liberals support laissez-faire economy. It means minimum interventions in the economy. And why? According to Adam Smith, there is an invisible hand in the economy. Laissez-faire means to no planning. The best allocation of resources is market. Depends upon the damage and supply, demand and supply. Laissez-faire into socialism, rational means sensible reasoning. Okay. Actually, these boxes are the definition of above highlighted lines or para or even some words. Liberals' view on social policy or public policy. It is based on the survival of fittest, that is the Herbert Spencer and the Darwin. Darwin suggested, Darwin said that struggle for existence and survival of fittest by the Herbert Spencer. Liberals look at this. Harold Spencer was a biologist. He has researched a lot on the biodiversity. That is why he is remembered. Liberalism gained popularity till 19th century. In 19th century, it started getting challenges from the socialism. Hence, there was possibility of socialist revolution. So liberalism changed. This has given rise to a modern liberalism, theory of welfare state. When modern liberalism emerged, original liberalism came to be called as classical liberalism. In 19th century, after the Karl Marx, his book Das Kapital, and one more. What was that? Okay, leave it. So the works of Karl Marx has influenced a lot many people in the Europe. So at that time, after his death, slowly and gradually the socialist view was getting popularism, and slowly and gradually communism has divided whole of Europe into two parts, that is western and eastern side. Eastern side was dominated by communist Soviet Union and communist some communist countries, and western part by liberals country. And in this struggle for power or a struggle for influence, liberalism was slowly and gradually losing its relevance. But somehow what happened is that liberalism modified itself into newer version, and when it modified means it has it evolved in new form, and the old form which was practiced was called classical liberalism. Critical evaluation of the classical liberalism. Liberalism both as a doctrine and as a movement in the amorphous ideology. What is it? Amorphous ideology. Lasky criticized liberalism as philosophy of bourgeois class. However, he has also held that it laid emphasis on the virtues of freedom and tolerance. Lasky, Lasky was very famous person in the 20th century. He believed that liberalism is ideology of bourgeois class and has little relevance. but he also believed that there are certain clauses in the liberal ideologies. For example, the virtue of freedom and tolerance. These are a good one, and that shall be incorporated in every section of society. Scott held that liberalism is philosophy of the crude and uncritical individualism, and it is inconsistent with the social democracy. Scott Oxford. This name is I have probably read somewhere. Okay, let it. According to classical liberalism, a state is a necessary evil, but a state role is purely negative. That is, to maintain law and order, protect the rights of the individual, and leave the individual to free to pursue his own good in his own way. So, classical liberalism include means that absence of state. Here, the state's role is completely negative, means no interference in the affairs of individual, because these states believe that individuals have their own presence of mind and they will take action in their own favor, non-benefits. Socialists completely reject the notion of man and society. They argue that man is dependent upon the other, not only for the material need but also for the cultural and spiritual needs. For example, Owen called it unethical and Marx called it animal-like. Now coming to the modern liberalism subsection under liberalism, background. In the latter half of the 19th century, classical liberalism became a target and attack from all the sides. Why? The policies and idea of the classical liberalism gave rise to the adverse consequences like unemployment, poverty, inhuman condition, inequality, monopolistic control of the trade, rapid concentration of the capital in the few hands, long hours of work, prevalence of revolting condition at both moral and physical level, frustration of many. In simple, it was classical liberalism was attributed to the rise of bourgeois class, rise of capitalist class, and the people working for them were the only exploiter, were only exploited. Consequences. What happened when the classical liberalism was falling? Challenges to the classical liberalism, and then in short, liberalism desperately needed some revision during those times. To reform liberalism, scholars like J.S. Mill brought the idea of idealism in liberalism. Scholars of modern liberalism, there are a few more scholars like J.S. Mill, T.S. Green, J.D.H. Cole, and Barker, Lasky, Kans, McIver, and Gabriel. So these scholars are very prominent people. You must remember to quote in the UPSC optional exam. First one J.S. Mill, second T.S. Green, J.D.H. Cole, Walker, Lasky, Kans, and McIver and Galbraith. Now, basic concept. Like all liberals, they also believe that man is rational. However, instead of possessive individualism, they bring developmental individualism. Possessive individualism means providing rights to the individual, and developmental individualism means providing path toward the development to the individual, so he can be benefited, he or she can be benefited. Possessive individualism, according to this philosophy, whatever man possesses is solely due to his own efforts. His man should have absolute right over the property. Possessive individualism, as the name suggests, refers to the possession of property, possession of wealth. They believe that whatever man possesses, they possess due to his her ability, his efforts. So there shall be absolute right over the property. Second one was development individualism. In J.S. Mill, we saw the concept of progressive man. The view of the individual is shaped by the ideas of Immanuel Kant, that is the idea of human dignity. It means person has freedom to make money, but not at the cost of human dignity. So these were the differences between the development individualism and that possessive individualism. And so far we have seen. Now, so coming to the societal part, in under the modern liberalism, they believe that society is not just a marketplace. They believe that man is by nature social. It means man is moral by nature. We cannot undermine the role of society in the life of man. Hence, man should play back to the society, pay back, represent progressive taxation to help the weaker section. State for them liberals, for the liberals, the state is not a necessary evil; it is a source of virtue. Source of virtue for classical liberals. Sorry, for modern liberal, it is a source of virtue. Concept of equality in modern liberalism. They believe in the equality before the law. They also believe in the equality of opportunity. However, then recognize the absence of the level playing field in the society. Hence, they allow state to go for positive discrimination in the favor of weaker action to achieve fair equality of opportunity. Concept of liberty. Liberty is not just the absence of state, man can free even in the presence of liberty. What does to enhance liberty? Capacity building, that is affirmative action shall be taken. The concept is called positive liberty. Positive liberty is synonymous with some called welfare states. What is welfare state? A prescribed collective a range of social policies that aims to provide basic services according to the needs and normally through free of charge by a state. Concept of welfare state. A state makes law to control the economy. A state nationalizes the industry. A state makes law protecting the weaker section. A state arranges the supply of essential commodities. A state maintains essential services. A state implements progressive taxation and income distribution. A state tries to reduce the gap between the poor and the rich. Welfare state is one word. Welfare state harmonizes the differences between of interest in society. Now, public policy. A state should interfere in the economy on behalf of the weaker section of so that they can live a life of their dignity. Now, who were the prominent philosophers? T.S. Green, Barker, Lasky. These were people. T.S. Green, he is known as Oxford idealist. He is known as father of possessive liberty, and liberalism. Why the person is defined to liberal as capacity. The statement given by T.S. Green: liberty is capacity to do something that is worth doing. The role of a state is to hinder the hindrance that come in the way of liberty. Will not force is the basis of the state. The above statement comes from the T.S. Green book Principle of Political Obligations. This is the book of T.S. Green. In this book, he has explained his views on the political obligations. Political obligations states that the basis for people to obey to a state. The conventional view expounded in the Hobbes and the Marx is the coherence of the forces and the basis of a state. However, according to the T.S. Green, the state cannot continue to the basis of force. People respect state only when they feel that the states make positive contribution in their lives by removing the hindrances and thus justify the positive role of the state. Human consciousness postulates liberty, equality, liberty involves rights deemed a state. Now, explanation above statement sum up the entire philosophy of the modern liberalism in their view on the human nature, society, and state. The first statement, human consciousness postulates liberty. Since we are born in the humans in the natural way to us to desire the liberty, liberty cannot have the priority over the liberty. Second statement, liberty involves right. It explains the significance of the society. Man cannot recognize liberty until and unless society does not recognize his liberty as rights. These rights have sociology. Rights are claims, which means it can have a person from a right, other person has a corresponding duty. The rights are also not privileged. Rights are available to all. It means all the also respect each other's dignity. Third statement, rights demand state. It explains the importance of the state. Enjoyment of the rights depends upon the state. State removes the obstacles by establishing law and order, by providing capacity. Thus, the state is not evil rather than a source of virtue. Now Lasky, let's study something about the Lasky. Lasky is teacher of Pandit Nehru. Lasky was initially a liberal. Later on, he got influenced by the development of the USSR. He got tilted toward the communism. However, he realized that communism people lack liberty. Hence, he again came back to the liberalism. He became source of inspiration to the Fabian socialist. India is the constitution. India is the first constitution in the world to incorporate the ideas of welfare state. The list of social and economic rights given in the Part 4 of the Constitution influenced by the Lasky. No, rights are those conditions of the life without which no man can see in general at its best. Every state is known by the right that is maintained. The most important function of the state is to protect the rights of the people. A social order which is not based on the recognition of the right is built on sand. Something that builds on sand, it can be collapsed easily. Similarly, some recognition to the rights is most important in the society to build a social order. The rights are the claims, not empty of duty. Lasky supported social and economic rights. Lasky was in favor of the weaker section of the he wanted the state to control the capital, otherwise capital will control the state. So this is about the Lasky. According to Lasky, liberalism implies a passion for the individual liberty and requires a power to be tolerant. Justification of the welfare state. It enhances the liberty and autonomy of the individual. It brings more equality among the various classes in the society. It provides social justice. It creates the responsible citizen. It provides socio-economic justice by understanding and regulating capitalism. Crisis of the modern liberalism. Um, Modern liberalism also become a target of the attack, particularly from the liberal philosophers. They believe that the welfare state reduces the liberty and the autonomy of the individual. Welfare state lead to the coercion and the violation of the rights of the individual. So you can see that there is no common argument, no common ground where every people or every subsects of the liberalism agree or have coherent view. So therefore, there's so many varieties, so many um, subsects of liberalism came in our world, no, modern world. And now next day we'll be doing contemporary liberalism or neoliberalism. That's all. Till then, bye. Thank you. Bye.